My name's Rosemary Georgeson. I am a Coast Salish and Satu Dene woman. I come from a small place called Galiano Island, and today I am going to make one of our traditional foods for you. You might call them clam fritters. We call them clam patties. And I went out and I dug the clams myself with my brother. I've had them in my freezer for a few months. We dug them last March when the weather was still good for them. Because to get good clams, you've got to wait till the water is a certain color and the right tides to get them. So we were strategically there at the right time for this.
And where did you get them, Rose?
Down on the far side of Galiano, on the Victoria side of the island. There's some spits out there where the water moves really fast and hard, so it stays colder, and you get the better clams.
Beautiful.
We were really happy with these clams because when we went there to get them, the water was absolutely perfect, and they were big, fat, meaty clams, which sometimes we don't see much of anymore because of the weather and the way things are happening to our food sources. They get, we've had to throw a lot back in the last few years, which is something we never had to do. Whoops. Usually at home when I would be doing this, I would have an old meat grinder. So they grind up a little bit coarser. And the old meat grinder is one that you clamp onto the counter and you grind it through so you get a bit of roughness to it. Because we like to have chunks of clam in our... I think that looks about right. This is one of our favorite foods out home. If somebody in the neighborhood knows you're making clam patties, everybody shows up at your door. We find that these are traditional foods. We come together more, and it's always for celebration, gathering of some sort.
And what makes a traditional food a traditional food?
Well, we've been living on clams for thousands of years. So that's where I call it one of our traditional foods. It's always been there for us.
Right.
Excuse me, Nelia.
Sure. So it's of this land, of this territory.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is definitely of this land and this territory. With the amount of clams I have, I don't need much onion. I don't want onion to overpower the flavor. I've been working as a professional chef since I was about 12. I started working, prepping food in restaurants, etc. And people always want to cook fresh seafood, but they like to cover it up with a bunch of stuff. And I'm kind of against that. I like as much of the natural flavor of the seafood as I can possibly get without taking away any flavor to it. I come from a family of all men, and we were fishermen, and everybody liked to eat really well, and nobody could cook. My dad and my grandmother were incredible cooks. Again, my mother was a terrible cook too. We didn't let her cook much.
Yeah.
And I was raised up mostly with my grandmother, and I spent a lot of time in the kitchen with my dad and my grandmother, watching them and listening to them, and stories were shared. And there we go. So all those years sitting in a kitchen watching them do exactly what I'm doing right now, and spending time with my dad on the water. I working around the smokehouse with them. So I've been working with fish for as long as I can remember. There's not a time in my life that I haven't been working around fish and water, so it's just kind of natural for me.
That's very opposite me. I don't know how to cook fish. And I have a terrible story around that. So, my husband and me, we tried making fish curry. We didn't know we had to debone it, and so we cooked in the curry, and it kept on cooking and cooking. And the bones were like little tiny pieces. And the first bite we took, it was like, ah!
Yeah.
We're like, okay, and that was it. Never again that I cooked fish like that. I was like, okay. So it's fascinating to see people who are so comfortable around fish, because it's just scary how to, for me it is scary how to debone a fish. I like my just salmon deboned from Costco, a fillet, and put it in the oven, and I'm done. So
I remember doing a video a long time ago when you were doing Women in Fish.
Oh, where were we? Hewlett.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Or you were deboning, I think it was a halibut.
Was it a halibut that I had?
I remember it was a,
Somebody had given us some fish and I was filleting.
yeah.
I started learning how to work with fish and fillet fish. I think the first time I remember filleting fish and cleaning fish, I was probably about 7 or 8 years old.
oh wow,
So fish
that's
is
amazing. Amazing to me.
And I worked in one plant. I was a filleter for cod, and I can debone and do whatever a fish needs done to it to get it from here to your plate. Let's see how that's coming.
And that's a lot of oil, because I'm just remembering the little bit of oil that you used in yours, and I keep going back to my mom, but my mom making saltfish cakes, it was a really thick pan of oil that we would fry them in just to, and
Yeah.
just to make them crispy. And
Well, my cast iron pans are really seasoned now.
Yeah.
So they're almost like nonstick.
I have a cast iron frying pan out on Galliano where I live, and my dad had it on his fish packer, and he gave it to me in around 1983. But that frying pan was on his fish packer before I was born, and I'm 66 now, so. And that frying pan is still around and in a lot of use.
Yeah, those pans are, like my cast iron pans are always on my stove. Never take them off.
Yeah.
So.
They're the best for any
They
kind
are
of
the
cooking
best.
like this.
So how do you eat them? Like just by itself, or in a burger,
Just like this, you can
or like how do you serve it? Like with a salad, with what do you normally
eat it
serve?
with.
Yeah.
When we were living on the boats and still working as fishermen, we ate a lot of rice.
Okay.
And clams are something that you can get all up and down the coast. Not just, oysters are just down here in the Gulf, but you get up past Campbell River area and up beyond that towards Rupert, you basically just get clams. So we just ate a lot of rice and clams, rice and fish. We joke in our families that what's for dinner tonight? Rice and fish. And we ask again the next night, what's for dinner tonight? Fish and rice. So bump it up a little bit. When I'm barbecuing salmon, I use the same brine that I use for smoking fish, but I just keep it in the brine for like 20 minutes. It's a mix of rock salt and brown sugar. Sometimes I might use a little bit of maple syrup in it and such, and then I'll let it sit in that. I'll layer it for a bit and cook it in that just for something a little
That's
different.
interesting.
And the woods that we use when we're smoking, I like hickory and cherry wood. A lot of people, the old ones, they like alder. I was sitting with my dad and my grandfather one time, and they were both eating a piece of smoked fish. they're looking at each other going, yeah, cherry wood. Yeah, it's got a hint of maple in it. And they knew what was exactly
Would
what
you
it
like
was.
a plate?
Yes, please. Thank you. And what family cooked it, whose family recipe it was. It's like we were saying earlier, we know we know where the food comes from by the way it's cooked and the way it's for.
Yeah, you can tell by the region, by
Yeah.
the different styles of cooking, yes.
Yeah. And we all have our own different distinct ways of doing things. And it was very evident in a lot of the cooking that we did.
Yeah.
When I've been working in the East Side and I've been doing stuff like this and bringing food in, I like to do it for the people that don't get their own home traditional food from their own place.
Yeah.
And you can see it, the difference that it makes for people to have their own foods. And lots of people are from the coast here and they don't get to have clams. And if I bring in clams, you see that.
Joy in their eye.
And the sharing that comes out of them when we're all working together and the work that we're doing, it's amazing. I think we've written plays about it.
Yeah, I think so.
With it. Like I look at some of the foods that we cook and the way we cook them, and I know that the old grandmothers were cooking them the same way. Not a lot changes, and we just keep passing them on, and we learn how to bring them more up to date in what
Yeah.
we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for you it was meat and potatoes, and for me it was more vegetarian. Coming up, like a lot of people, like we don't eat red meat. A lot of like it's changing, like
Yeah.
Rose said. But is there any variations that you make, or is
Haven't figured any out for this year, and I don't want to. This is
Just
when I feel like
asking.
I'm home.
yeah? I'm just asking. Yeah, I'm just asking. Like I'm just thinking in my head, like if I had to do this, like what would I put? I love cilantro, so I would put cilantro and green onions and maybe some spices.
Yeah.
Because that would feel like cumin feels home to me.
Yeah.
So just thinking, and maybe that is fusion when we mix two cultures. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe
I think
that's how. So that's what I'm thinking. Like, is it like, yeah, this is the canvas we can start building on, like, but sometimes
That's really interesting because you were talking earlier about spices. You don't use a lot of spices because you want to taste the seafood.
Yeah.
And what I noticed with your use of spice, like I could taste the potato. I could taste all the ingredients in that. So there was something about how you use the spices. Like people tend to be they over spice things because they want it spicy or whatever. But there's something about this kind of way of bringing a harmony in a way to.
Some of those spices and different things that we use in the way we merge them together help enhance the flavor and bring it out even more.
Right.
yeah.
And some get overpowering. I know people that make clam chowder and they load it down with peppers. You've killed the flavor of
Yeah.
the chowder itself.
Same thing, like, you can have a little bit of hot sauce or a little bit of heat to the food, but just putting a lot of peppers or a lot of chili flakes or chili oil kind of like kills the taste of the food. So it has to be balanced and
Good. Good. That was fun.
This
it
is your
has
first
a lot
time.
of, first time having clams. It's different. But I can see what you mean by not adding the spices. It's still got a lot of flavor in it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, in there.